everybody? This is Asa Costa here with the EP Sports Network. I am joined by a very, very special guest, old friend, doing big things in the NBA G League, Miss April Aguilar. How are you, April?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Everything's been gravy over here. So let's talk. It's been a while since we've seen each other, but I want folks to know, how did you get your start? Tell me the early parts of your life. High school, college. What was that life like?
Well, I've always been somebody who grew up playing sports. Primarily, I was a swimmer. I went to Mountwood High School. Shout out to the Rams. I was a swimmer all 4 years there. I also did a little bit of basketball. A lot of people assume, because they see me, they're like, oh my God, you're very long. So they assume that I played basketball off rip, which I did, but I was B team. I was one of those people that had no control of their limbs. So
really? Was it the coordination was a little bit off?
The coordination was super off. And, my dad was a hardcore basketball fan. And he was like, you have the height. I need you to block shots. And I was like, Dad, let me out touch people in the pool instead. So I used my length to my ability in another sport. But that was my high school career. Then I went to UTEP. Like I said, I've always loved sports. I knew that I wasn't going to swim at the college level, but I still wanted to be surrounded by athletics in general. So I actually started to volunteer with the minor athletic club over at UTEP. And it literally got to the point where I remember their athletic director, or their associate athletic director at the time, Chris Park, he even told me one time, hey, you come to everything, and that's a wonderful thing. That's awesome. But it's getting to the point where we feel bad because we cannot compensate you. So do you want to go home? And I said, no, I love being around the atmosphere. And the thing about college athletics is you do every sport. You transition from football to basketball to track to tennis. So I really got to kind of pinpoint what it is that I actually wanted to do. And I think that's the beautiful thing about college is you kind of get to narrow down the ultimate goal. Once he noticed that I wasn't going to go anywhere, that's when he was like, you know what, I'm just going to make you a graduate assistant. I love what you're doing, and so forth. And it was there under Mark Bruner, who I don't know if Mark Bruner is still there or not.
He's still there? He's still there?
Yeah, shout out to Mark Bruner. He's phenomenal. He was the one that was like, you know what? Remember Jenzel Nash? Mm-hmm. Okay, huge basketball star at UTEP for the women's basketball team. He was like, I need somebody to do stats for me, but manual stats, because they always kind of like to have, obviously, the person who's entering them through the computer, but they also like to have somebody seated next to that person to kind of take manual stats in case that person in that role misses something. This way, they always go back to that manual person and say, okay, let's compare stats to see if I missed something. That's when I started shadowing Mark doing that. And he ultimately was like, you know what, you're doing awesome at this. I'm going to just let you run with it. That's where really my passion for basketball just grew tremendously. And ever since then, it's really been a wrap. Once I graduated from college, though, Mr. Park did tell me, unfortunately here at UTEP, and we just talked about this before we went live, but the thing about sports is once people are in those positions, it's very rare that they leave.
It's a tough one.
They stay for a long time. So he told me, if nobody leaves and there's no position available, I cannot create something for you. And eventually that time came and went, and I said, you know what, I want to continue to pursue sports, but we did not have the locomotive at the time. The Chihuahuas was still kind of up and coming. So that's when I made the decision to move down to the Valley in the RGV, because I knew that they had a very successful G League team. And the funny thing is I ended up moving before I even had the job. I kind of just went on a whim, and a connection of mine, a friend of mine was like, hey, I know one of the coaches for the RGV Vipers. He put me in contact with him, and literally 3 days after I moved down to the Valley, they were like, you have an interview on Friday with the Vipers. And ever since then, it's a wrap.
Now, you made that big jump, right, to the Rio Grande Valley. How was that life? I mean, obviously, coming from a border town and everything, you got that mix, but on your own, you said you on a whim, just I'm gonna take my shot and go out there. How was life? How long did it take to adjust and get kind of get used to that?
I've always been somebody who's been very close to like their family and stuff. And my parents have always been extremely strict. So even just the thought of me moving was kind of a harsh reality for both my parents and for myself. But it was one of those things where like I've always felt inside of me that like I was meant to do something big. And I can't even describe it. It's like this, almost like this still voice. But although it's still inside me, it's equally as loud, like telling me like, you can do this. You're meant to do something big. What it was at that moment, I didn't know. I just knew that I had to make the leap. I love El Paso. El Paso will always be home. But that feeling inside me was so big that I knew that El Paso wouldn't be able to offer me what I wanted during that time. Which is why I ended up moving. And it wasn't necessarily a culture shock because the valley is, they have Reynosa, similar to us here, Ciudad Juarez. So it wasn't necessarily much of a culture shock. It was more just like, almost like my surroundings. There was no mountains. Everything was flat. And I know people are like, what does the mountains have to do with anything? But it was almost
we take
like,
that for granted.
Yeah.
We really do.
Big time. And it was almost like a sick feeling because I would be driving over there. I would be like, can you tell me how to get on the freeway? They're like, oh, you mean the expressway? And I'm like,
what?
What? Yeah, exactly. So I would get on the expressway and I would just have like this sick feeling because I would look around and everything was flat. And I'd be like, what are the beautiful mountains? Our sunsets. I literally just posted a sunset to my story yesterday because I was like, this is beautiful. You can't beat El Paso sunsets. So it was little stuff like that I feel like it was a lot to get used to. Here, the temperature, we have dry heat, right? We're a desert, which means our nights are cool, but our days are hot. Over there, they have South Padre Island really close by. So you're talking about humidity.
And then for those that don't know, she has really curly hair. So
I look like Mufasa, literally.
Like, and going back to family, how much, does family mean to you?
Oh, I don't want to get too deep because I don't want to cry. But everything, everything that I do on a daily basis is for them. I'm very, very humbled and very, very thankful that I have such supportive parents because I especially know in the Hispanic culture, it's very difficult to make certain big life changes, right? Even just to leave your house as a female. A lot of times as women in Hispanic cultures, you have to be married, you know what I mean, before you leave your household.
And then just even get into that step too. You got to meet dad, got to meet dad. His boyfriend, where every party you go to.
Exactly. But my dad, primarily him, and I say him primarily because he's always kind of been the one who's like, no, the same feeling you have inside of you that you're meant to do something big. He said, I have that same feeling for you. So you need to go. You need to go. You need to do it. You need to make mistakes. You need to fail. And every time I would fail and I would call him and I'd be in tears, I'd be like, I want to go home. No, you're not coming home. You need to fail. You get back up. You keep going. And I give all the credit to them. My mom too, like tough love. I remember my dad was tough and I would look for my mom for like that mommy, comfort. Exactly. And my mom would be like, no, I believe in you too. The same way your dad does. You have to struggle. You have to live off of ramen noodles. You have to figure it out. You have to have those sleepless nights. If you have a dream, if you want something, you have to go full force or that's it. And it's so funny because my mom always sends me like stories all the time about people who like make those big leaps to like LA, New York, and they're living out of their car.
$50 and that's it.
Exactly. They're making those sacrifices. And that's why my mom was like, you're not living out of a car. You have an apartment. You have everything you need. You just have to keep going. So huge kudos to them. Wouldn't be here without them.
And that's good. Like you said, the whole Mexican culture, like you said, is tough. But to have that support system, especially being a woman in the industry, and we'll get to that a little bit later, the challenges are it's an uphill battle just from the jump.
Right.
Now, going back, like you said, we're talking about El Paso and the beautiful views, going to that kind of like flat land and then the humidity, what are some other things that you miss about the city that you don't get to see over there?
Well, number one thing is for sure my family and friends, because I don't live here anymore. The food. Ask me why. I was looking for something that just reminded me of home, okay? Like, I'm a big fan of burritos de chile relleno. Like, I love chile relleno. And I went to this restaurant that they have over there in the valley, and I was like, oh, sí, quería pedir un burrito. Y me dice la señora, you mean a taco?
Oh,
and I was like, no, señora, un burrito. She's like, ese es un taco. Ask me why me and her went back and forth until literally someone behind me was like, can you just like, place your order? Exactly. No. We literally have this discussion even in my office with my coworkers until this day. Like, I don't know why they refuse to call them burritos. They call them tacos. They call them breakfast tacos and just tacos. They don't believe in burritos at all.
I think the term is they're Tex-Mex. They're not Mexican food. It's Tex-Mex.
I guess. But that was like the number one thing I would say that I miss. Like, I miss the food. I miss my friends and my family. The sunsets, like I was telling you, I think the sunsets here are beautiful. The climate. You also take the climate for granted because humidity and dry heat are just two different, you know.
I can't hang with the humidity.
No, they're bad.
You shower and as soon as you go outside, just you're like, okay. It's not as bad as like, say, Daytona or anything like that.
Oh, no. But it is. You're talking about some intense humidity. I've gone out to my car in the mornings, assuming that it rained the night before, because there's a bunch of like water droplets all over my car, and it's just the humidity.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's intense.
So for everybody that's complaining about El Paso,
don't complain.
It ain't that bad.
Yeah, it's not.
It ain't that bad. Okay, so going back, do you have the history of sports? Being a swimmer and and trying to play basketball and all that. In college, when that bug, I guess, finally hit you, what was that moment like that you knew this is what you want to do? No ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to try to go this route in some way. Can you remember that time when you...
Yes, I can. And it's so funny you say that. I don't want to expose people, but I actually went over... We have ESPN here locally, ESPN Radio, right? Are they still here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually went to a person who was there at ESPN Radio, and I was having a conversation with him because this was something that was... I had always had like this inclination inside of me that's kind of what I was leaning towards. Again, I was never going to play sports. So I was like, how can I still be around it without actually playing it, So at the time, I remember I was just obsessed with reporters like Oprah Winfrey, Barbara Walters, what was her name? Summer Andrews. What's her name? Mm-hmm. Summer Andrews. Yes, all of those people. I was just so inspired by them. So I went to have this conversation with the person at ESPN Radio, and he was like, why don't you should do sideline reporting. Like, you would be so great at it. Like, you would be phenomenal. And he made me feel so confident. I remember I left that day feeling like, oh my God, like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is it. And he told me, I have this friend who works over at, it was one of the news stations at the time, he was like, and he has a background because he used to work, I believe it was with CBS Sports. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm gonna set you up with him so you can kind of pick his brain on what kind of steps you need to take to move forward in this career choice. So it wasn't even a week later that I met up with his friend, his contact. I basically had the same conversation. This is what I want to do. This is what fuels me. These are the women that inspire me. And he flat out told me, he was like, you're not going to make it, right? He said, because all of the people who are on ESPN and stuff, they need to know every sport. Like, they take tests on every single sport. And I remember he threw out some like random baseball, I think it was like a quote. And he was like, who quoted that? And I was like, I don't know.
Why would you need to do that?
Like, and he legit was like, you need to take tests. You're not ready. You're not ready. And that's what you want to do. I left feeling so defeated to the point that I changed my whole path. And I remember I was doing my master's at the time because I was a GA, that I started studying to take my LSAT in pre-law because I told myself, clearly this man who has experience at CBS Sports is telling me that I'm not capable. And he was white. So I feel like that's why I also took him seriously. Like I saw him as like superior to me, which is so bad. But at the time, that's just how I felt. And I convinced myself that I was like, well, if I can't be a sideline reporter, I'm going to be an agent. I'm going to be a sports agent, and I'm going to go to law school, and I'm going to study sports law. So I took a course at UTEP. I literally would go every Saturday morning to take the LSAT, like practice LSATs. I paid to take the LSAT, which is like a $400 test. I passed the LSATs. I applied to law school. I remember I applied to Michigan State, ASU, Michigan. There was one more. Oh, and UT Austin, because they had like phenomenal sports law programs. And I didn't get into any of them. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. My LSAT score, I passed, but it clearly wasn't high enough. Like, that's it. But then my dad was like, you don't think that's like God talking to you? That's not what you're meant to do. Like, why are you taking the opinion of some random person and like applying it to your life? Like, who cares you spent $400? Money comes and goes. Who cares you took the LSAT? Good for you. Now you're educated, on another topic. He said, but April, you're meant to be in front of a camera. Like, you're meant to interview people. Like, I see that for you as your dad. Like, listen to me. And he just had so much faith in me, and he like reignited that flame. And I was like, you know what? Like, he's right. Like, I need to be doing this. And yep, ever since then, it's a wrap.
That's just crazy, though. Like, just how some people, like you said, that are not strong-minded, somebody tells them that, and it's done. Just because it hasn't been done before, or person of your kind or color or whatever, it shouldn't stop that. People shouldn't even say that, like, you can't do it. It's like, what? Yeah. For the most part, for me, if somebody tells me that, I kind of just want to prove a point. Like, all right, I'm going to do it just to show you up.
Exactly.
Now, like, if they say it, it is what it is. I know where my path is going to go. I'm going to beat to my own drum.
Right.
Ignore all the noise, but that's great for you to just have that, and then that support system coming back.
Yeah.
Just
full
to
circle
get there.
moment. Yeah, for sure.
Now, what have been some of the other challenges that you've had to go through? Obviously, it's a double-edged, sword. You're a woman in the media industry, and then you're a Hispanic woman in the media industry. Right. But it's also good because you're multilingual, you're multi-talented, and you got your degrees. But what have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome or going through that people don't understand?
I think still to this day, I struggle with, for a long time, I was upset at the fact that I was Latina. But because my hair is curly and because I'm dark, a lot of times it always happens. People are like, what are you?
Dominican, yeah. Puerto Rican,
They're
right?
like, what are you?
I am American,
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm a human. What are you?
Right?
Exactly.
Hi, I'm April,
So even that in itself, like, I struggled a lot with that, kind of just coming to terms with who I was as a woman, who I was as a person. So that's definitely been like a learning process. But still, being a woman in this industry is highly competitive, highly competitive. And I think right now the biggest struggle that I can tell you that I'm facing to date is just being given a chance, being given that chance. And I am very happy that the NBA and even the media is being more proactive about hiring women of color, because now if you turn on your TV, it's not just Rachel Nichols anymore, right? Who do you see? It's Malika Andrews, a black woman, But that's just it. They're either black or they're white. And if you are a Hispanic woman, unfortunately, when you want to contact anybody from a media outlet, automatically they want to put you in like, okay, she's Latina, you're going to cover baseball or soccer. Exactly, because you should know that, right? Whether they think it comes off a certain way or not, it does. And that's the main thing that I'm struggling right now is just, and I'm very clear. Anytime I meet people, especially in the industry who are higher up, I tell them all the time, and I even end emails like this. I am ready to, add a seat to the table for Latina women, because at the end of the day, we know basketball too. We know other sports other than just baseball and soccer. So that's definitely my biggest challenge right now. But I feel like something in me tells me that this is going to be my biggest blessing. The color of my skin, the fact that I'm Latina, I feel like, and I say this like so confidently, like I want to be the first. Like I want to be the first Latina woman covering NBA on a national level, because right now you do not see that. We used to have Toni Collins. Remember Toni Collins? But she covered Sports Center, but she's no longer at Sports Center. You know, so as of right now, there's no Hispanic women in the realm of basketball. In other sports, yes.
No, but yeah, but like you said, basketball especially, it's not, because there's not that many Hispanics or Mexicans in the league for one. But like you said, we still know sports.
Exactly.
Especially in this day and age, the way technology has been, it's not like, all right, you only had 2 channels on the TV back in the day. Now you have everything that can be on your phone.
Exactly.
And that's the crazy thing. But going back that you have that, family support system just means you can do anything.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing also is I want to do it for the girls coming up behind me. That's the same way Malika Andrews would look at the TV and she was like, wait a minute, there's no black women on TV who look like me, aside from Oprah Winfrey, but she's not covering sports. So she wanted to kind of be that person to take that first step. You also have Maria Taylor, who also paved the way for black women. But there's nobody doing it for Latina women. Like I want to be able to be a representation to girls who look like me.
Now, going into your life in the Rio Grande Valley, you had the start with the Vipers, but you also did some work with the Toros, correct? How was that life? Kind of balancing. You got both sports there, but you're excited about sports. Tell us a little bit, about that experience.
Yeah, my time with the Toros was awesome. So the cool thing about that is their seasons did not collide. So I was able to kind of really dive deep into both of them, when they were in season. But when it comes to USL, that's a totally different ball game. That really kind of just opened my eyes again, where I'm telling you that I was having like this identity crisis. That's where I was like, wait a minute, I'm extremely valuable, especially when it came to USL players, because a lot of these players, they would come from all over the place. They would come from Colombia, they would come from Mexico, Puerto Rico, like all over Latin America. So they were always looking for translators, people to be able to translate for them when they were doing these different types of media interviews. So just having the opportunity to kind of dig deep in that, meet the players and so forth, that was a great opportunity. Unfortunately, I still don't find the same passion that I do when I'm inside of an arena. Like, yes, I like the sport and so forth, but there's just something about the game of basketball that's just like, it's different for me. It's like a high almost. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I can't explain it. I really can't. And I didn't really get to play the roles that I wanted to play with the Toros as much as I've been given the opportunity to do with the Vipers. Exactly.
And then going back on that, like you said about that high, like for me in this industry, us creating the sports network and being a photographer, playing the sports, growing up, and I needed something to fill that void, because that fire's still inside, and you need to kind of like, all right, how do I, feed that fuel, right? So since I can't be in the game anymore, but I can be part of the whole event and the spectacle, new challenges, same thing. Even though they're not coming to see me there, it's, all right, I'm part of that. All right, you're getting ready. It's game day. You got that. All right, you got your prep list. You prepare a certain way. Like that kind of stuff helps, fuel that, adrenaline. Because like once you have it, and it's hard to.
And just seeing your end product, like at the end of the day, you look back and you look at your photos, you look at your play-by-play, you look at your interviews, and it brings you great satisfaction. It's like I may have not made a touchdown, but I still played a role in this, because your content still gets utilized by the newspapers, by internet outlets, by the media and so forth. And I feel like the exact same way. Like every time that I finish doing an interview, it's like this, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it makes me so happy. And to me, that's just confirmation that this is what I'm meant to be doing.
And for me, I love the challenge of it. Like if it's something easy, but if something a challenge, or can I do it? Can we do that? Like it hasn't really been done. It might have been done, but can I do that? Like that's
Right.
the thing I guess I seek more. Like, okay, can we do it? It's gonna be tough, but hey, we can do it. It's that type of thing that's been good.
I like that you say that because I definitely have to agree with you on that. Because a lot of people have asked me, primarily like my inner circle, my friends, they've seen the kind of like the hardships that I've gone through and the struggles, and they've asked me, like you have your degree, like you can literally do anything. Like, why are you trying to prove a point to people that you're worthy when you know you're worthy? And I've told them the same thing. Something about it being difficult makes it that much more of a dream for me, makes it that much more necessary for me to be able to accomplish, to not necessarily prove other people wrong, but prove myself right, that I was capable of doing it the whole time.
Exactly, because when we look in the mirror, people can post and say what they want, but when you look in that mirror, you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Hey, it's Mondo the Monster Medina inviting you to join EP Sports Network at Anime El Paso, taking place on June the 10th and 11th at the El Paso Convention Center. Meet and take pictures with some great anime voice actors. You can also participate in the costume contest, enjoy some Japanese-inspired food, check out the anime-inspired escape room, and the idol show in which people will be singing their favorite anime songs. Make your plans. Get more information for Anime El Paso at animeelpaso.com.
Going back to the challenges, what have been some of your biggest accomplishments that your career's still early on? We're not going to say age because age isn't just a number, but in your career, what have been some of the biggest accomplishments that you've achieved so far?
I would definitely have to say being a part of the first all women's broadcast for the San Antonio Spurs. I had the opportunity to work alongside Michelle Beadle, huge icon in the sports world, and with 3 other up-and-coming women in broadcast as well. That was just like a pinch me moment. I even remember when I got the call to be a part of that. It was huge. It was like I had won the lottery. So that's definitely like one of my highest moments.
Now, the flip side of the coin, because with everything good, there's also going to be bad times.
Right.
What has been, I guess, one of your lowest moments, and how did you overcome that?
I want to say that some of my lowest moments, it's not necessarily one specific moment, but it's just all those moments in time where I'm still human at the end of the day. I still have those times where I'm like, why am I not moving as fast as I want to move? But that's kind of where I take time to just kind of like reflect, and I have to remind myself, like, everybody's on their own journey. If you may be at a certain pace and you may get there quicker than I get there, but that doesn't mean that my journey is less than yours. So it's not necessarily, like I said, one specific moment. It's just like it comes in waves, like here and there. Or I'll even be watching here recently, NBA playoffs. I watch the NBA playoffs and I see like Stephanie Reddy and stuff, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong that's not getting me there? And you know what I have the bad habit of doing, and I need to stop doing this, but every time I see a reporter or a host, or even just like a host on NBA TV, and they show their name, I have the habit of going onto my phone, going onto Wikipedia, and seeing how old they are. How old are they? What was their journey? Did they did they get the degree that I got the degree in? Did they take the path that I'm taking? And I'm slowly starting to realize that, 1, that's not healthy. And 2, it's like I just said, like, that's them. That is not me. Like, I'm April Marie. I need to focus on myself, whether it takes me another 10 years, whether it takes me another 5 years, whether it happens this season. Like, I just have to be ready. The whole point is that I need to be prepared. If that's what I want, I got to be ready so that as soon as my opportunity comes, I kill it.
Exactly. And I guess the double-edged sword is social media, because yeah, it brings people an inside look at everybody and what they're doing, but then also people start comparing like
Right.
to it, and that's a slippery slope that some unfortunately have not been able to just get out of, and
Exactly.
it's good that you find that way to come back and like, all right, it's I'm not going to research them, you know. I
Exactly.
got my path, you know, and my spot's not there. But like you said, one thing that people don't think about, you got to prepare yourself so when that opportunity does come, you're ready.
Exactly.
Not okay, I'll be ready when it comes, and then we start prepping.
Exactly. No.
You got to start preparing.
Yes.
Like I said, when we look in the mirror, we know if we, for those that work out or whatever, you know if you did the reps.
Exactly.
You know if you hit it, you know. You can post it, oh, I did this, and this, but deep down, you know. And then when that opportunity comes, because it might come once and never again,
Exactly.
you got to be ready.
Especially in this business, I feel like this business is very competitive.
And cutthroat. It's cutthroat.
Competitive, C squared. We'll call it C squared. Cutthroat and competitive. And I'm a firm believer that there's other women out there who want this dream. I'm just convinced that they don't want it as bad as me, you know? So it's, again, preparation is everything.
It is. Now going, like you said, to the good moments, the Rio Grande Vipers, or Valley Vipers. People are still getting used to the G League, but you're a basketball fanatic. Getting to be there, your show name, which we'll get into, Heels on Hardwood.
Yes.
You know, right there. How has that been? Just every day when you get to wake up, go to the office, you know, Sideline Report, do the show. Like, how's that whole experience been for those that don't understand? Because they just see the NBA, but
Right.
obviously the G League's been coming up.
Yeah, the G League, I feel like the G League has grown exponentially, and it's only going to get bigger. Unfortunately, when it was known back in the day as the D League, it didn't have as much, attention.
It didn't have that flair.
No, it didn't. It didn't. People saw it as almost like a downgrade.
And I don't know if it's
punishment.
I don't know if it was the letters, because like when you see AAA, you're like, oh, okay, AAA, that's, you know, grade A. And
Right.
but like you said, that name changed. Maybe that was what it took.
Maybe that what it took, really, because the Gatorade League is now on fire. And I am just so blessed and lucky, and this is how I know God is also at work, that I get to cover the most winningest team in the G League. And yes, winningest is a real word, because we are the winningest team. So we just won a championship. Not this year, we made it all the way to the finals, but we actually lost in the finals to the Delaware Bluecoats, which is so funny because we beat them last year in the championship. So two teams going back to back.
You love that rivalry, don't you?
Yes, we love it. We love it. But it's been such a whirlwind. I've had the opportunity to win 2 championships with them. And I say win because we also get a ring. So that's super cool. A lot of people are like, why don't you wear it? And I'm like, it's huge.
Right? It's going to go right there on the shelf. Right
Yeah,
there,
it's so huge. But my dad has it in his man cave. Like, he loves,
Of course, you
showing
got
them
to.
off. Yes, he loves it. So I feel very, very blessed to be able to represent such a huge and successful franchise in the G League. And the G League itself, like I said, is just growing exponentially. I had the opportunity to work in Mexico City because they just recently added the G League Ignite, which is a huge, huge add-on, and the Capitanes in Mexico City. So those are the 2 newest teams that were added to the G League this season, which is just making it all that more competitive and so forth. But the Vipers itself is definitely home. Like, I've been there now for 6 years, and I know a lot of people tend to say like, wow, like, why is she still there and so forth. But again, that's why I say that I'm so lucky, because when you look at these other teams in the G League, the amount of success that we've had has given me the opportunity to kind of really be put out there, because we win. People love to follow a winning team, and that's exactly how I've been able to gain these other opportunities, like going to Mexico City, like working with Michelle Beadle, but because of who I'm covering. So I definitely never take that for granted. And if there's a beautiful thing that I love the most about the Vipers, is that they've really given me the opportunity to experiment with who I want to become, being able to kind of rebrand myself as Heels on Hardwood. I've had the opportunity to create projects, do multiple interviews with a bunch of people in the league, from coaches to players, and they've always kind of seen it as like a, hey, like, you're doing good for us, so we're not going to tell you to stop.
And that's what's crazy, because like going back from the early part of our conversations about, all right, having all the, you know, the degrees and then your talents and everything. All right, NBA, G Leagues in Mexico. You already have those talents there. You speak the language, you know the culture.
Exactly.
You know, it's just adding on. Like I said, you're going at your pace, right? And the doors that are opening up there, maybe we're not there to the NBA yet, but it's grooming you to who knows what it is.
And if you kind of look at the bigger picture, the Capitanes is the roadmap to expansion for the NBA. I'm a firm believer that I believe the NBA is going to add a team there for sure.
It is. I mean, if you look what the NFL is doing, like they just released partial, I guess, of their out-of-town schedules. You know, they're going to play a couple games in Germany and, of course, the ones in London, which obviously is hit or miss. You know, fans can't go to the game. You lose a home playoff. But at the overall picture of them wanting to grow the brand, you know, it's good because it's a new set of eyes, you know, in countries that we're not, you know, dominant in sports, because we know soccer's king worldwide.
Exactly.
But new stuff with the NFL and then now the NBA going out there. I mean, it's just so crazy. And like I said, 6 years. I just can't believe it's already been 6 years already. And,
I know.
And because like when I told people, because when you gave me the keychain that has the Vipers, they're like, what is that? I was like, no, it's a G League team for the Rockets. What are you talking about? I was like, dude, there's a whole league.
The whole league.
These players, you know, get their start, you know, and work their way up. And I go, there's teams right there. San Antonio's got one, you know, and then Houston right there.
And what people don't realize is, I mean, take a look at the NBA playoffs happening right now. There is multiple former G League players on their rosters, on their starting rosters. Take Gary Payton the second, for example. He just started, what was it, the other night? He's playing tonight. Former G League player.
It's crazy because, I mean, people see that from baseball. They may not totally understand it, but it's that process. You know, they want to develop those players because it's hard. Like football doesn't have a minor league system, and it's tough. And then that's a brutal league anyways. You go through 30-something car crashes a week, you know. Basketball and baseball are different. They want to, you know, help build it. Unless you're the elite, you know, players.
Right.
But other than that, you need that opportunity, and it's cool that you get to experience that, talk to these future players, and then, like you said, experiment. That's the cool thing about it. They give you, you know, the reins to like, all right, let's see what we can do, and then you're up to the challenge. The whole competitive fire that's in you just makes it that much even better. Yeah, so like I said, so happy about, you know, that with you and the G League. So now I got some other questions here. What, other than sports, what motivates you?
I would have to say I do everything at the core of me for my grandmother. She's just always been like the light of my life. Unfortunately, she did pass away over the holiday, the Christmas holiday. So she's just like, I don't know, she's like a little fire that just burns inside of me. So I would have to say that she might be like tied up there with my parents on what motivates me, but really just that feeling that I'm telling you that I've always had. And I recall this clear as day. I have an obsession with the sky, like the moon, the stars, the planets. Like I'm just like obsessed with staring at the sky. Like it's a reminder that this world is so big. And that there's so much out there to really explore and to experience. And just with having that innate feeling inside of me is really the only fuel I need. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who kind of wait on others to motivate them. And that, to me, is like the worst thing somebody can do. Because if you're going to wait for other people to cheer you on, you're going to be waiting for a long time.
It might never come.
And unfortunately, you might even run to people who wish you the best, but don't necessarily actually feel that way. So it's something that's just within me that I'm like, I have to do it for me. I have to do it for April. Like, what's going to make me happy? What's going to make me stand out? What's going to make me feel like I was able to really take my talent and take it to the next level? Because I sincerely believe each and every one of us have a gift, a talent that's been implanted inside of us. I just feel like not everybody gets to actually like pursue it because, life happens. People have kids, people, have different things happen to them, and they kind of put that on the back burner. But then they end up in these roles, in these day-to-day roles, going to jobs and careers that they're just not happy with. And now in our day and age where mental health is like at the platform, you know what I mean? At the center of everything, where anxiety, depression is now like being highlighted and amplified. I feel like now more than ever, I'm like, why would I want to do something that I'm not happy with? Like that, it just makes no sense to me.
And it's tough because, like you said, people are just stuck and feel that they can't get out of that hump.
Exactly.
But it's to those that are able to find it, it's great. And to those that are still searching, keep searching.
Keep searching.
I mean,
it's never too late.
It's never
too late.
Now, other than your parents and your grandma, who inspires you?
I wouldn't say there's one person in particular that inspires me. I would just say that that's a little bit of everybody, from family, from friends, from, people who are already in the industry, whether they're Hispanic or not. I see them as, idols. Like they're people that I admire and so forth. So, even like Barbara Walters, I was obsessed with Barbara Walters. I still remember. I was like 12 years old maybe, and me and my dad went to Target. I'll never forget this. It was my birthday, and this lady had like this super cute phone cover, and me just randomly, as a girl, I was like, "Oh my God, I love your phone cover." She's like, "Oh, thank you so much." She's like, "How old are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm 12. My name's April Marie." She's like, "So cute." She's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I was like, "I want to be the next Barbara Walters." She was like, "Oh my God, you can have this phone case." And she like took it off her phone case and she gave it to me because she was like, "How are you 12 and you already have that mentality?" Usually at that age, you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Some cookies and drink.
Exactly. Or like a princess, or I don't know, So again, it's just been something that's always been inside me.
That's awesome. Favorite book?
Ooh, that's because I love to read. Favorite book?
That's probably a hard one.
Yeah, that's tough. I love self-help books. Like, I'm a huge self-help book person. Right now, I'm currently reading The Mountain Is You, which I really, really like. But is it my favorite? No. Do I have a favorite?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's hard.
That's a tough one. Well, let's make it simpler. When you walk into your house and you turn to your bookcase just to read, what's the first book you're pulling out? Like, just vision that. You're walking in, turn to the right, see the bookcase. What are you popping out? Like, we got her stumped.
Yeah, that's hard. It's because I have like literally like a table. I'm not even kidding. If I had a picture of it, I would show you. I literally have a table, and I have like a pile of books that I either read when I'm at the gym. I'm somebody who like, I need to get in the zone. So like, even when I'm at the gym and I'm on the treadmill, I'm reading something motivational. Like The Mountain Is in You, like I'm telling you.
Okay, that works.
But like a favorite, if I have to say favorite, I'm probably gonna say like Twilight or Harry Potter.
There you go.
Like those are,
I just saw a meme about Harry Potter. He said all she did was just write Star Wars with weaker weapons. I'll send you that clip on that. It's probably gonna make a lot of Harry Potter fans.
I love Harry Potter.
Love Harry Potter. But right now, top song that you can put on that will just get you motivated.
Ooh, I love Karol G. Her whole album, Mañana Será Bonito. Like, I love Karol G.
Perfect. And then right here, favorite quote to live by.
Favorite quote to live by? Damn. I kind of wish you would have, like, prepped me before.
Hey, this is great spur of the moment.
I know. I don't know. Probably Nike, just do it. Like, might as well just do it.
There it is. Okay, that's good. Another quick little rapid fire one. Favorite food?
Pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Ooh, I do not discriminate. Bring it on. I love pizza.
Have you? So I'm trying to go to Chicago this year. Have you had
Yes,
the
deep
original?
dish. Yes,
deep dish.
yes.
Okay.
I went to All Star weekend in Chicago. You have to try their
And
pizza.
then that's what I was going to bring up. So since you already brought that up, tell us about that experience, because obviously the All-Star game is huge.
Yeah,
huge.
huge.
And then you getting to go representing the Vipers.
I was
right?
actually going. I actually went as freelance.
Okay.
I went to go do freelance work, and I also had the opportunity to work with the NBA Cares, and it actually just happened by spur of the moment because they didn't have enough volunteers, so they were like, do you want to volunteer? And I was like, sure, why not? Yeah. And I remember even just with saying yes to that, I had the opportunity to have a full-on conversation with James Harden. Joel Embiid in person is the biggest human being I've ever seen. Like, my body is one of his legs. He is huge.
And for those who know, April's tall. April is tall.
But like my whole like body is literally one of his legs. He's the biggest person I've ever seen. But phenomenal experience. Now this was also, guys, this was pre-COVID. So there was no restrictions whatsoever. So the cool thing about All-Star Weekend is if you had that media pass, like you were literally walking side by side with Kemba Walker, with Ben Simmons, and it was like nonchalant. And, the funny part is deep down, I'm still like that, like fan, but you always want to be like, keep it cool.
It's hard to just keep that. It's hard, like
cool, calm, and collective.
Because one, you don't want to lose that credential.
You don't.
People don't realize that.
You don't.
Don't ask for that autograph.
No, don't.
You'll be out.
Exactly. Even at Summer League, I remember the lady was like, they were doing COVID test just last year, and she was like, "Oh, you may come into the room." I was like, okay, and I'm sitting there, and she's talking to somebody outside, and she tells that person, "You may come into the room." That person opens the door, and I'm like, "It's Karl Anthony Towns." And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "What's up?"
Right? You're just
and he sat down right next to me. It was crazy.
It's a whole nother world that people don't get to experience, and we just soak it in.
Hey, wait, but before I forget my pizza story, that's why I'm named April. Did you know that? Because my dad is a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles, and their friend was April O'Neil, and she also happened to be a reporter. Yeah.
Reporter. And here's another crazy story, which the world's weird. The original April O'Neil was just at the El Paso Comic Con.
Stop.
This past couple weeks ago.
Oh my god.
The original April O'Neil was here.
Dang.
Right down the street over here, which is cool for me. Like kind of geeking out to see that, and then they had one of the
She's
writers
an icon.
there, one of the writers there too as well, and it's like, all right, cool.
Wow.
So April and pizza, there we go.
Yeah.
Quick question on that: pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I say yes. Why not?
They're mad at girl. That a girl. So pineapple on pizza, yes.
Yes.
Okay, we got that. Favorite drink, non-alcoholic.
I'm a coffee person.
Coffee.
I love me a latte. Yes. A vanilla latte, oat vanilla latte with cinnamon.
See, I'm not a big coffee guy because one, I don't really know how to make it for myself. Like, don't too much sugar, too much cream or whatever. And then for the amount of Dr. Pepper I drink, I already got enough sugar going through these veins here. So like energy drinks and all that, they don't faze me at all. I already got 23.
Dang.
I already got 23 lovely flavors going through this blood cycle.
And see,
here.
I can't do sodas. I can't do sodas or energy drinks. So coffee is definitely my go-to.
No sodas. Okay. No sodas. Okay. Favorite dessert.
I'm an ice cream person.
What kind of ice cream?
Ooh, I also do not discriminate. 31 flavors. I want them all.
Coffee ice cream? Is that?
Yes,
Really?
that's a thing.
That is a thing.
I actually just went to the Paleta bar yesterday. Phenomenal. I don't know if you've tried it
I
yet.
have not tried it yet.
It's so good. So
Paleta
good.
bar. All right. Main go-to meal. Like if you had to pick, like, okay,
Chilaquiles.
no hesitation. No hesitation.
I
at
love
all.
chilaquiles. And also, not that we're looking for any suitors out there, but I love breakfast. So like if anybody was like, "Oh, let me take you to dinner," I'd be like, "No." But they're like, "Let me take you to breakfast."
You're like, yes.
Yes.
Coffee and juice or just coffee?
Just coffee.
Really?
Yes.
Not a juice. That is crazy. All right. And let's get back to your show, Heels on Hardwood. You got to, like you said, interview a lot of, special athletes and everything. What are your future plans for that show? Because one, just the name right off the top that's that caught my attention when we first started talking. I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
What plans do you have for that?
I definitely want to continue to have more interviews. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't feel like I've developed my channel as much as I want to. And that's because I even get mad at myself because I'm like, I don't even watch as much TV as I watch YouTube.
Same.
So I'm like, why, if you're watching so much YouTube, why don't you, put out your own stuff on your channel? So I'm going to take notes from you because I feel like you're really good at just keeping an eye on all your projects and developing your projects. So that's one of my biggest projects that I want to continue to develop, whether that's vlogging, whether that's doing behind the scenes. I feel like a lot of people ask me on Instagram too, like, why don't you post like your game day, routine? Like, what do you do as a reporter to prepare? Like, we know what players do and stuff like that, but what do you do? What does that look like? So I feel like I need to explore more in that avenue.
And it's just the tedious part of planning it,
Right.
like which is good too, because like for me is, I guess it's the photography kind of background. Like I want to capture those moments. Yes, we're capturing like say this right now, but like me, I have the GoPro there, forgot to turn it on, but like that, like you said, the behind the scenes stuff that people don't get to see,
Exactly.
and it's different because that's a whole nother set of eyes. Like they want to see the final product, yes,
For sure.
but they want to see like, okay, like you said, how did they do that? Why did they set it up this way?
Exactly.
Exactly. And of course the ups and downs, because it does put us in a position of vulnerability because, all right,
I think that's what it is.
It's like, what if I mess up? And like they see everything's not all perfect, but that's life. Like there's a way that we got to this point, and we're going to make our mistakes, but it's our, job to like, okay, we made that mistake. Let's learn from it and keep going instead of like, oh, I made a mistake and I'm going to go run away.
Right.
No. But by doing that and having those different shows out there or just different content, because you never know if you get 5 views or you get 1,000 views, don't matter. You're doing it for yourself. And that's what I kind of go off of that model. Like, yes, our goal is to grow it, have more, viewership and all that, but we're still going to do it 100%. Like if we're at the Super Bowl or whatever, that's what, what we're going to do.
I love that. And, I have a confession to make. I'm not good at these types of situations. Like I'm not used to being the one who's being interviewed. Even when I was getting ready to come, my dad was like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm going to go do an interview. He's like, ooh, who are you interviewing? I was like, no, I'm being interviewed. He's like, what? You? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, good luck with that, because he knows that these situations I'm not used to. Like, I like to be the one in control. I like to be the one doing the research, asking the questions and so forth. So I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't expanded my YouTube channel, because I'm like, do people really care? But this world is so big.
It is.
There's some random videos on YouTube.
Not just that, there's a random supporting cast.
Yes.
Like even people that you don't meet, they're some of the biggest, fans. And like for me, like I'm the same way, right? Like I hate being interviewed. I hate being photographed, right? So that's why my friend Artie, he's my face, right? Like he's my face there for most of that stuff. Like so when people want to ask, me questions, I'm just like, but and I totally get that. And then when it gets to the event or being interviewed, it's all right. Put that switch on.
Exactly.
Like, okay, let's do it. And afterwards you just, okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, I appreciate you for coming out here and being on the opposite side of the camera.
Oh, for sure.
And
you're my friend, so
right?
yes,
It's good. And especially because of the stuff that you get to do. Like for those that are watching, probably didn't know all the stuff that the Vipers have done and the championships and a winning thing. And it's only, not a few hour drive away, but if you want to still go see some good ball and some good stars, you got San Antonio and
Austin.
Austin, but like the Spurs and then the Rockets teams right there. So we talked about the show. What other future plans for you? Like, I know it's hard to set goals like, like, okay, in 5 years I want to do this because life's obviously going to take us where it takes us. But for you personally, where do you see yourself? What do you want to obtain? Is it marriage? Is it, having kids? Because in our industry, it's tough.
It is tough.
People, we're here recording. You got to fly back, say, in a week. I'm driving the next day, to playoffs and all that. It's tough. Like we don't get, I guess, the luxury of.
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. And I say normal, not normal in like the most positive way possible, because what we get to do, I also feel like is very badass. Like I run into a lot of people who are like, what? You do what? Even the gentleman at the front who was checking me in when he walked me down, he's like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I'm a sideline reporter, for the G League. He's like, what? The G League? Like he thought that was so cool. So that in itself is a blessing. But like you said, our schedules are extremely tedious.
And then the sacrifices that we know we make.
Yes.
I mean, people just, hey, can we go out to eat and dinner? Like,
we have a game.
got a game.
Yeah, I can't go to dinner. Tip off is at 7. It works out like that. So I totally get you. And especially, in the realm of basketball, their seasons are so long. I mean, the NBA Finals literally starts June 1st. That's people's summer vacation time, and it's still go time in the world of sports. So I definitely want to be married. I definitely want to have children. But I am also a firm believer that everything comes at the appropriate time. And I'm also a firm believer that whoever I end up with, I definitely want to assure that they, kind of respect how long it took me to get here. Because as a female, like this is not easy. I have had to make several sacrifices. I would have to say that my biggest sacrifice to date is just being away from my family. That in itself is a huge sacrifice. I spend a lot of time, almost 90% of my time alone, but because I'm chasing something, something bigger than myself. So it's not easy, but I know that it'll be worth it at the end.
Exactly. And like you said, we're chasing something that's not the norm, right? My brother put it best. He's like, you're inside a bubble, right? Like it's different. To like the outside people, they don't understand. Like they'll get excited, and I don't bring his name up a lot, but like I'll say Aaron for instance, the stuff I get to experience on that, it's different to me. That's Aaron. That's my brother from another mother. Exactly. But when we're out, say in public or appearance, and people just go bananas.
That's Aaron
like,
Jones.
It's like okay, I remember like whoa, like the level that they're at, or at the games, or like, oh, you get to go to this game, oh, you get to do this, or you're at the beauty pageant over here. Like I forget because I'm so focused on dialed in on what we're trying to either promote, produce, and and tell the story.
Accomplish.
We forget about that whole fan aspect of it. Like, don't get me wrong, excited inside when we're at these games and you feel that.
For sure,
we can't really cheer because we're got to be non-biased and stuff. But it's crazy just being inside that bubble. Like I said, I don't take for granted. I'm extremely grateful for, and like you are as well. Like the things we get to see and the people we get to interact. Sure.
I definitely feel like we would have to, marry somebody in the industry, whether that be, anybody from like GMs to trainers to just somebody. I feel like somebody who understands the schedule. Because I've even had this conversation with my sister. She's like, why don't you just, date a teacher? And I was like, school lets out at 3:15, which means that when my husband gets home by 3:45 and he sees me start to get ready, it's like, sorry, I can't have dinner with you because I have to go to work. Like how does that dynamic work?
I think the main thing too that we have to find is somebody that's comfortable in their own skin.
Right. That's huge.
Because scheduling aside, but being comfortable, like, okay, those times that they're away, but when we're together, it means much more, but they're still comfortable. Like we know that they can't just be hanging on to what we do. They have to be their own person on that. And obviously in this world, it's tough to find. Yes. It is. Maybe we'll find somebody one day or whatever.
We will.
But if not, we're just going to enjoy the ride. And we'll just enjoy the ride and see. So where can people follow you on your channels? Obviously, they can follow the Vipers as well. So go ahead and tell people where they can follow you at.
Yeah, you can definitely follow me on Instagram, aprilmarie.tv. And then on Twitter, it's at Heels on Hardwood. And then I'm also on TikTok at Heels on Hardwood. And then on YouTube at Heels on Hardwood.
That's a lot. Heels on Hardwood.
Yeah, Heels on Hardwood. I only changed, I had my handle on IG was also at Heels on Hardwood. But a very, very big mentor of mine was like, hey, I love that. I think that's awesome. He said, but, look at Rich Paul is his.
They want to know the name.
Yeah, like they don't associate his brand with him. They do associate it, but that's not his handle on Instagram. So you need to change your IG name to your name so that people know who you are. You don't want them calling you Heels on Hardwood when they see you in person. You want them calling you by your name. Exactly.
And I did that too, like, because when I first started my photography stuff, I was doing like AG4 was like my initial, my brother's. And then they're like, who's AG4? And then I was like,
exactly.
And then, well, having my real name, Andres, photos by Andres Acosta, I was like, that's too long. I was like, photos by Ace. Rolls off the tongue easy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And
short and sweet.
It's just short and sweet. But now, like I said, I still don't like being my picture on there. So you'll see the picture of my buddy on there. We love that. He's so but April, is, like I said, as always, it's great. I've been wanting to interview you actually in person for
it's
a
been
while.
a minute.
But our schedules have been...
Yeah.
But now...
It was meant to be.
It worked out. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. So happy of everything that you're doing and what you get to, accomplish. And
like likewise, you're killing it.
We're doing all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Like I said, building from scratch.
For sure.
Because going back to like that opportunity, it was hard to get opportunities. So I said, screw it. I'm gonna make my own. Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder because we're building from the ground up, but we're making our own. Exactly. And knowing the work that we put in, good or bad. Like if we succeed, great. If we fail, okay, let's analyze what we did wrong and try again. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want it to a point where I had to rely on somebody to give me that opportunity. We're just gonna keep
that's big
going and doing it. And
people wait on those.
They wait on it, but you know what? I'm not getting any younger, and I'm like, I love the opportunity I'm at and the people that I know. And I know the product that we can, dish out, and we take a lot of pride on that. For sure. And we'll see if people like it, and we're just gonna keep going until I guess the last drop. But
he is badass.
We're all right. We're good. But like I said, I appreciate everything that you've done, and hopefully it's the first of many opportunities that we can, partner up and see what she's doing. Make sure you guys follow her on her pages. Like I said, basketball's there. Playoffs are in full swing right now. When does G League start officially?
So G League starts again in November. It's usually like the last week of October. They have like preseason games and then kicks off in November. That
November-December thing is just crazy in sports. So many sports going on
so
at the same time.
So many.
I'm like, where do I go? We got football, volleyball, basketball, soccer's going on. I was like, which way we go? But like I said, everybody go follow April at april.marie.
aprilmarie.tv.
on IG, and then Heels on Hardwood for all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. Say hi and see what she's doing. For us, this is the EP Sports Network. I'm Ace Acosta for April Marie. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of Taco Tuesdays with Ace. Be sure to follow us at epsportsnetwork.com for all the latest episodes.